The Australian's Graham Lloyd has spent some time focusing on the Chinese diaspora in Australia and investigating the part the Chinese government's state-owned enterprise social media giant WeChat plays. He joins me now. Graham, thank you for your time. This is a fascinating article you wrote on the weekend. Your piece all about WeChat. You say China's President Xi says this is his most powerful weapon. Explain that a bit.
Well, we've been out meeting the diaspora in several countries in the Asia and Pacific, and most recently we've been focused on Australia. The challenge was to go out and meet the members of the diaspora and get a good understanding of the various groups within it. And the one thing that became overwhelmingly clear is that there's almost a total take-up of social media WeChat by members of the diaspora in Australia and other parts of the world. And one of the things about WeChat is it's highly regulated, and users are really told what they're allowed to watch, what they're allowed to say, how they're allowed to communicate. And so there's a lot of pressure on them to modify their behaviour or risk being cut off from it. And it's something that's probably hasn't had enough attention paid to it, the influence that this allows the Communist Party or authorities in China to exert on overseas communities.
So what sort of messages would people be getting on WeChat, Chinese Australians be getting on WeChat in Australia? Would it be the sort of propaganda we see, Global Times stuff saying, Australia's the chewing gum on China's shoe, or would it be more difficult than that? The message is more insidious than that?
Well, I think that it works in several ways. One is to stop people spreading information that is critical in any way of the Communist Party or China. Any communications of that sort are deleted, and people will basically have their communications stopped in transit, so they can't embarrass the state. The influence here is one of, I think at the extreme, there's the editorials that are very strident in their criticisms of Australia. But it's more telling people that they face discrimination, that there is somehow a threat to their safety in places overseas, and the implication is that they are protected, if you like, from the Communist Party in China. And I think the thing that is most interesting is the effort that goes into really corralling overseas Chinese into one group by the Communist Party, when in fact it's a very diverse group of people, all with very different experiences and very different relationships with the Chinese authorities. And the interesting thing is WeChat really manages to cross a lot of those boundaries and put them all into an area where they can be controlled. And it's something certainly that's getting far more attention around the world. I think in recent days there's been a bit of an outcry about TikTok, and I think the focus is going to come to WeChat and a lot of other platforms as well.
And how does WeChat, and it's sort of a Facebook / Twitter / Instagram sort of, social media service. How does that dovetail into the whole social credit system?
Well, they say that it's a complete digital ecosystem. So, in effect, if you think of all the platforms that people may use in the West for communications and banking and government services and things like that, they're all compiled into the one unit. So really, it's pretty difficult to do business without it if that's how you communicate.
And the social credit system, we know, is one of those systems, like you wrote about this on the weekend, allows the trustworthy to roam everywhere and makes it very hard for the discredited to take a single step. Explain that.
Yeah. Well, what they're doing, one of the latest functions in WeChat is it basically monitors in real time that people that are in close proximity to you when you're holding your device, and it monitors the credit score of everybody that may be nearby And,
so even in Australia, if I'm on WeChat in Australia and I'm, in a group at a Chinese restaurant, let's say, it will tell me what the Chinese state thinks of people in proximity to me?
It's something that is rolled out in China at the moment, and it would depend on downloading those functions to be able to do it. But I think that it's no secret that the economy is moving to a cashless regime, and it's not going to be credit cards. It's going to be your telephone with the applications on it that you will basically use instead of cash, and they will talk to each other in real time about the creditworthiness of people who are trying to transact.
Well, Graham, Lloyd, thank you for the column. Keep it up. I'm fascinated by this. I'm sure many of my viewers are. And the more we know, the better we understand, I think, the future ahead. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks, Peter.